شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وسلم تسليما كثيرا. All praise is due to Allah. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and we ask Allah's forgiveness and we seek Allah's assistance and we seek refuge in Allah from our evil souls and our bad deeds. Verily, whomever Allah guides to Islam, no one can lead astray. And whomever Allah allows to go astray because they do not want any guidance, then no one can guide. And I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of our worship except Allah alone with no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is His servant and His messenger. May Allah exalt His mention, grant Him peace, His companions, and all those who follow them on their righteous path until the day of judgment. Brothers and sisters in Islam, imagine that there was a company. And this company was established by individuals who had two goals. The first, integrity. The second, quality. And these people were serious businessmen. They were all qualified. They were all sincere. And they all strove to provide the best service out there. Real, sincere individuals. And they established this business in this fashion. And they started to deal with the customers and the consumers. And due to their integrity and the quality that they were providing, their clientele started to grow. And more customers became interested in doing business with them. And they, in the process, laid down some foundations, some principles for this business, by which they could maintain the quality and the integrity that they provide for the customers. And everything was going well based on the foundations that they have laid down, the principles that they all agreed that they will never let go of. You know, this was the very thing that differentiated them from everybody else doing business. As they grew older, there was a second generation, their children maybe, or those who were employed by them, who had similar characteristics. And they took the covenant upon them that they will follow them in their footsteps and that they will conduct the business in the same fashion they were conducting business. Now, of course, the second generation is never as good as the first, you see, because these were the pioneers. The first one, they were the ones who started the business. They knew the business. So the second ones were still okay though, because of their sincerity. So they were able to maintain the business in this fashion by following what has been laid down for them from the principles, by the pioneers, the original, the ones who instituted this particular business or company. And then, as these individuals got older, they started to train those who were younger than them. And the more they went far from the original individuals, the more we had people come up with their own ideas. You see? So then, you had some people who were trained, who said, you know, this quality thing is, why do we have to give quality? You know, now it's about you know, mass productivity. We should have a lot of stuff. You know, instead of just focusing on one thing and making sure the quality is good, let us use this money to invest into other products, and so we could reach more customers, and we don't really have to have the best quality out there. You see? So then they formed a little group and said, this will be our ideology in this particular business. This is how we're going to do business. Now these individuals were opposed with another group who said, no, it's not really about the quality. It's about, you know, why do we have to be sincere with the customers? All companies cheat, you know, so we can also cheat. It doesn't matter. So then they got their own methodology and they took a little side in the company. And then the company slowly but surely, as it started, you know, moving on to the later generations, it wasn't the same anymore. And it was divided, individuals amongst the company were divided, yet there was a group of people who always maintained what the forerunners, you know, the original ones had laid down from the principles. And they strove to keep them. they continue to tell the people we must have integrity and we must provide the quality. This is how the business used to function, this is how it functions now. Right? Well, needless to say, with the passage of time, things were not the same anymore. And that company that was world class at some point and was doing business internationally went back to the same old local company, barely making enough income to survive. Now, the question that I will pose to you, and you may answer audibly with your voice, what is expected of these individuals in order to do business as their forerunners were doing business? What are they expected to do? Anyone? Right? Go back to what the older people were doing. Because these are things that you don't lose. Even if the world develops and you have more technology, quality and integrity are two things that don't change with the changing of time. This is from the essence of the business. You cannot do business in reality and be successful unless you follow these two principles, regardless of what kind of business you're in. So then the solution is that these people go back to what the original individuals who began this business were upon. Then and only then, they will be able to do business as they were doing business. And I'm sure you figured it out already. This is all symbolic to the Muslim Ummah. The successful individuals were the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and his companions. And integrity was the sincerity, and equality was following the prophetic way and not innovating. When those generations came after the first generation, they were very much close to them. So they followed their footsteps to the best of their ability. They were not as good, because you cannot be as good as the original, but they were very good. So they maintained. Then the generation came after, they also maintained. And then things started to change. Individuals started to impose their own ideologies into how the business should be conducted, and then the business started to deteriorate or disintegrate, and things were not as good as they were in the with the early generation. And we, the Muslims today, are suffering from the same disease. We are that later generation of individuals trying to do business according to the way that they were not doing business. And if this is going to be the case, and we will divide ourselves into groups, each focusing on one aspect of Islam and saying this is what you must do, this is the important thing, while disregarding what the principles that were laid down in the beginning were, then we were never going to run the business as they ran the business. Yet, because we said there's a group of individuals, even in that business, with all these changes that remain upon the truth, they remain trying to propagate what the early forerunners had instilled in that company. They kept calling to it. Let's go back to what they were doing. We will be as successful as they were. Similarly, today,